The most disturbing person I've ever known is my cousin Ryan. Ever since we were kids, there was something unsettling about him. When he was 8, he started torturing animals he found in our neighborhood. My aunt and uncle tried to ignore it, but by the time he was 11, he'd been expelled from school for bringing a knife and threatening a classmate. His parents made excuse after excuse, claiming he was just misunderstood, and soon, the whole family learned to tread carefully around him. Ryan's behavior escalated fast. At 13, he was arrested for vandalizing a church, and a few months later, he was caught with drugs at school. They tried therapy, but he would charm therapists and never take it seriously. I still remember him grinning when his mom cried after another one of his outbursts. To him, her distress was just funny. When he was 15, he started targeting my younger brother, Jacob, who was 10 at the time. Ryan would corner him, mocking and taunting him for no reason. One time, he locked Jacob in a shed for hours in the middle of winter as a joke. My brother came home shivering, terrified, and refusing to talk about it. My aunt brushed it off, claiming Ryan was just rough around the edges, but after that, my parents started keeping a closer eye on him whenever he was around. Things got worse after he turned 18. He moved out and began crashing at different relatives' houses, taking whatever he wanted and leaving without a word. At my grandma's, he stole her entire life savings from a drawer she kept hidden. She was devastated but refused to press charges. The family stayed quiet, afraid of upsetting my aunt and uncle, who were still trying to keep him out of trouble. 2 years later, he showed up at my parents' house with nowhere else to go. He'd been kicked out by everyone else, so my mom, as the only one who felt a bit sorry for him, let him stay in our basement. The first week, things seemed okay, until I started noticing small things disappearing: cash from my wallet, my dad's watch, even food from the fridge. When I confronted him, he laughed and denied everything, but the look in his eyes told me he was lying. The last straw came when he tried to intimidate my brother again. He threatened him with a knife, saying it was just a joke. My parents kicked him out that night, but I'll never forget the way he looked at us, as if we were the ones in the wrong. A few years later, I learned from my aunt that he'd been involved in a scam overseas. He'd convinced an elderly woman to hand over her entire estate to him, and when she passed away, he vanished with everything. To this day, my family rarely talks about him. My aunt still believes he'll turn things around, but I know better. There's no excuse for the way he's hurt people. We haven't heard from him in years, but every once in a while, my aunt will tell me about some message she's received from him. Each time, I worry what else he's left behind in his path.